So I built 2 Amazon KDP businesses that generated over 6 figures a year, and I have a ton of students in my coaching program doing the same. If I had to start over again from zero with limited time, money, and resource, and can only keep my knowledge that I have today, this is exactly what I would do to build my KDP business up to 10K per month again. This is going to be a super no BS video. Like seriously, this is exactly what I would do. So let's dive in. All right, so starting with step 1, I am going to get a job. Now, you might not like hearing this, but you need some sort of cash flow for you to invest in a business, right? So if I don't have a job, I will get a job. If I do have a job, I'm going to start working overtime. So that'll increase my income that I have. And I will also live very, very frugally and save as much money as possible. Because the more capital I have to invest, I will see faster results in my business. Yes, it's possible to build a business with no investment up front. That's possible, but it's going to take way longer than if you would invest some money. And I honestly, even if I'm just getting started, I honestly would rather save time than money. Because money you can make back, right? Money you can make anytime you want. But with time, you never can get it back. And in my opinion, time is way more important than money. So I'd rather not spend months and months and months, if not years, to achieve the same results I could have achieved way shorter if I just invested a little bit of capital up front. So the goal here is minimum $500 to $1,000 a month to save and invest. Again, you might not like hearing this, but if you want a certain results, you got to make some sacrifices. And, living frugally, working extra shifts in a job that you hate, those are short-term sacrifices for a long-term gain of building a business that's going to pay you a lot of money. So with that being said, now that I did that, right, and now I have some disposable income every single month that I can invest in my business, step number 2 is to choose a low-cost, high-reward niche. So what I want is a niche that I can make those books do it yourself, DIY, if I want to. So I can make these books myself if I choose to, but I do want the option to be able to do it myself. Now, this is also highly profitable. I'm not going into a niche where it's no competition, but also not that profitable. I'm going into a niche where it's more competition, but also very, very profitable, okay? And preferably, I want to sell my books in multiple formats: ebook, print, and audio. Just because from my experience, if you can sell your books in 3 formats, it's so much easier to make your money back. So typically speaking, you can categorize Amazon KDP niches, or the types of books that you create, in 3 categories, right? Low content, medium content, and high content. I'll probably look for something within the medium and the high content range. Let me show you some examples here. So this brand, Hayden Fox, publishes, this is kind of a medium content niche where he has hilarious jokes for 7 years old, hilarious jokes for 8 years old, and basically a hilarious joke brand that is doing really well. So this one book, Hilarious Jokes for 7 years old, is doing between $60 to $77 a day. So that's about $2,000 per month. Once again, you can sell these type of books in ebook and audio as well, so that's just extra money. You can also build a series like what he is doing, right? Hilarious jokes for 7 years old, but you can do it for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So many books you can create. And if you look inside, it's just once again a compilation of hilarious jokes with some images here and some quick trivia. And this is something that I can outsource, or I can even do it myself, even with my limited tech skills. This is another example. We have Bill O'Neill here. He has a bunch of trivia and random fact type of book. So we have interesting stories for curious people, the book of general knowledge bombs, right? So just random facts. Same thing, interesting stories for curious people, or something like this, a big book of American facts. So this book is doing $52 a day. So that is about $1,500 a month. Once again, just from the paperback. And there's also the Kindle version. I don't know why he's not doing the audio version, because you can definitely do an audiobook version for a trivia book. But you can see that this is selling at a higher price, right? We're not selling it at $5.99, $6.99. This is a $12, legit book that has pretty good royalties. And the interior is extremely simple. It's just different trivia knowledge in different categories. Like this is government and crime, and you have one trivia after another. This is extremely easy to compile with some, Google research, or nowadays with AI. Last example, this is kind of a low content space, but I think, because the content is a little more than just blank line journals, right? I will still count this as well. But we have Mom, I Want to Hear Your Story. This is a guided journal. It's selling for a high price because there's more content than just blank line journal, right? And this book is doing extremely well, thousands of dollars a day. And this is also something that I can easily create myself. It's just journal line and a simple quote at the top, and a journal prompt. So I can hire someone to do this for me or do it myself. The only downside with guided journals is that you cannot do an audiobook and an ebook version, but you can still do hardcover, spiral bound, as you can see here. So I will still count it. So I like these niches because even if you outsource and pay somebody else to create these books for you, it's not going to cost a lot of money. And the content is simple enough that you can create the book yourself. I do recommend investing some money into your business, but that doesn't mean you want to spend, a bunch of money up front for no reason, right? If you can cut the production cost of the book down, then that means you'll profit a lot faster. So it's really all about finding the balance. Step number 3 is I'm going to create 5 epic books. So now that I identified the niche, I'm going to focus on creating the best book possible. So if you're asking yourself, how do you create the best book? What is considered the best book, right? What is considered a high quality book? Well, you want to create something that stands out. So how can you create something that stands out better than what's already on the market? Well, there's essentially 2 ways to do this. Number 1 is just by offering more value, right? More value than everyone else, okay? Number 2 is to offer a unique angle. So something that differentiates your book compared to others. If you can hit both of these angles, that's great, but usually you want at least one. Here's an example of just offering more value. So if I'm going into the would you rather questions niche, right? And my competitor is doing 250 would you rather questions. I will straight up give more value by offering 300 would you rather question, 350 would you rather question, right? So this is an example of doing the exact same thing, but just offering more. This is an example of something unique. So, there's a lot of bedtime stories out there, bedtime stories for kids especially, but this book came out with bedtime stories for adults, specifically stressed out adults, right? So that's a unique angle that not a lot of people are taking. I could also do something like a hilarious bedtime stories for adults, right? Like a satirical twist. A satirical twist usually works well because it's unique, but that is just one example. The point is, every book I publish, I'll make sure I have either better value or a unique angle to it. Now that I've identified how I can stand out, I'm going to go and create these books. There are 2 ways to do this. Number 1, outsource to a ghostwriter, or number 2, write the book myself with AI. So obviously, if you use a ghostwriter, it's going to save you a lot of time. So this is for someone with limited time. If you're working a full-time job, if you're picking up extra shifts, right? Maybe you don't have a lot of time. Then you can, invest money instead and hire someone to write these books for you. So this is a good done for you option. If you guys want to learn how I would hire a ghostwriter, which company I would use, then I filmed this separate video. You guys can check it out in the description below. Now, if I want to invest a little bit of time and keep the production cost low, then I would write the book myself. And I'll be using AI as assistance, not replacement, meaning I'm still writing the book. I'm just going to use AI for help, right? And you always want to make sure you fact check and proofread the book later because AI can get things wrong, but this is going to speed up the process a lot. So as an example, if I wanted to create my version of hilarious jokes for 10-year-olds, right? I'm just going to analyze what my competitors are doing. So this book right here says this has over 400 items or 400 jokes, which includes hilarious knock-knock jokes, brain-boosting riddles, tongue twisters, fascinating facts, and illustrations. So basically, these are the joke categories. So I can just go to ChatGPT over here and ask it to give me 30 hilarious animal jokes for 10-year-olds. This could be a normal joke, knock-knock joke, tongue twisters, or riddles, right? Exactly what this book had. Give me a few of each. Make sure they are unique and intriguing and appropriate for 10-year-olds. And just like that, we have a bunch of regular jokes. Why did the dog sit in the shade? Because he didn't want to be a hot dog, right? And so we have a lot knock-knock jokes as well, tongue twisters, animal riddles. And this is how I can start compiling these jokes for my book. I will obviously read every single one. I'll make sure it's actually funny. You have to do your due diligence, but this will speed up the process significantly. So step number 4 is to get professional covers. So book covers is the most important factor besides choosing the right niche and right keyword, right? And I'm not a designer, so I will not try to create this myself. Like, yes, you can create a book cover on Canva, yourself, but I would not even attempt it because I know how important a book cover is, and no way I'm going to try and save the little bit amount of money that's going to cost to outsource a book cover because I know how important it is, right? So it's so much better to just pay a professional. You want to invest in the business once again. As an example, these are some of the other joke books that are being published recently, right? And it just looks like they try to make this, themselves, and it's not good. And imagine trying to compete with this book right here, professionally done cover, with these covers, right? It's just gonna be super hard, basically impossible. So there are $5, $10 Fiverr gigs that you can hire for book covers, but for my books, I would be okay with spending $50, if not even $100 or more for my book covers, because once again, I know how important it is, right? So these are some of the gigs that I possibly would use if I would use Fiverr, and that is this one right here. For $45, he will create a book cover and an interior, but I would just message him and ask if he can just do a book cover, not the interior, because I'm making the interior, right? I've worked with him in the past and he did a good job. So that is why I am recommending him. If you guys want to check it out, the link is in the description. Same as this one. This is a $30 gig, so it's a little cheaper, but I might even go with the higher, option like $45. And try and make something better. But yeah, these are the possible gigs that I might use. So a lot of people are afraid of investing money into a business. A lot of people are afraid of spending so much money on book covers. Although, to be honest, like if you live in the first world country, $50 is not so much money, right? But anyways, let's do a quick math, right? So let's just say you spent $100 on a book cover, okay? And say you make $4 per sale. So your average royalties is $4, okay? So this means that your better book cover has to make you 25 extra sales for you to break even. Now that is 25 extra sales in its lifetime, right? Not per week, not per month, not even per year. It's lifetime. So there's literally 2 extra sales per month over a year, and you will make your $100 that you invested back. So my question to you is, do you think you can make 2 extra sales per month if you have a much better book cover? I think you will, right? And so that's kind of how you want to think about this. When it comes to outsourcing, it doesn't matter if it's a book cover, book interior, formatting, pretty much any part of the business. So now that I've created the book, I have my amazing looking book cover, right? Step number 5 is to launch the book. So I've invested a decent amount of time and money creating a very, very attractive book, right? So I would never just upload the book on Amazon and just forget about it, do absolutely nothing. I'm gonna make sure to do a proper book launch and marketing to follow up so that my book has the highest chance of success. So the first thing I would do is to get reviews. Now there are many ways to get reviews. I would just use Book Bounty. It's the easiest way at the moment to get reviews. It's just so much easier, so much faster than any other methods. So I'm just gonna primarily use that. I'm not gonna rely on that 100%. So I'm gonna supplement with other review methods. But that'll be the main thing, okay? Especially because I don't have my own audience, since this is my first book, right? So I can't really use that, but I'm gonna build up to it, of course. But what I want is to aim for 50 reviews in its first 1 to 2 months. So if you've never heard of Book Bounty, this is how it looks. You do have to pay a little bit because it's a membership site. I think it's $25 a month. They do have a free trial, but essentially you can use this to collect reviews for your book. The website kind of explains how it works. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but if you guys wanna check it out, I'll leave a link in the description and you can kind of read up on it. So that is the easiest way to get reviews, especially if you have no audience. Now getting to 50 reviews within the first 1 to 2 months is definitely doable using these sites. It's going to be maybe a little bit of grind, but it's not going to be too bad. And it's definitely worth it for my books to succeed. Now 50 reviews is a short-term goal though. You obviously want way more, like 100 reviews. And then once you get to 100 reviews, you want to keep building, right? So the more reviews, the better. But 50 is pretty much like milestone number 1. I'm also going to start running Amazon ads. I'm not going to wait until I have 50 reviews. I'm just going to start running it fairly early on. So once I get to 15, 20 reviews, I'm just going to start running ads. Okay. So I want to invest $500 per book for my Amazon ad budget. And obviously if the ads are converting, I'm just going to keep putting in more, because if it's converting, I'm making more money back, right? So I'm just going to keep dumping. What I'm going to do though, initially for the launch, is I'm going to price my book low, and I'm intentionally going to take a loss. So in the beginning, in the launch, I'm going to price the book very low to where it sells a lot because it's low price, right? But I'm not going to make a lot of royalties. So I'm actually going to lose some money here. But this is meant to basically get as much sales as possible. My BSR is going to drop a lot. My book is going to rank more, and people are going to start buying it, getting more reviews, this and that. Amazon will start pushing it more as well. And from here, once I feel like the book momentum is picking up, then I'm going to optimize my Amazon ads over time, increase the budget so that I can scale this. And obviously once the book is ranked, I'm gonna increase the book price, right? So now I'm actually making money. I'm actually profiting from this, but short term, I'm gonna take a little bit of loss. So what happens often is people are so scared of losing money that they do not run ads. And because they don't run ads, their book dies. So guess what, right? Your book dies, which means you lose more money by not running ads compared to if you actually market it. Because if your book dies, you miss out on the thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars that you could have made from that one book compared to this little bit of money that you're trying to save, not running ads. Also, you have to understand that if you have a good book in a good niche, even if you run ads and you're losing money, you're not gonna lose 100% of it. So as an example, if I spend $500 and I'm losing money, I'll probably still make like $300 back. Right? So I lost $200. It's not $500. It's just $200, right? And again, that's just short term. My book is going to rank better. And once I price it higher, it's going to start converting more. And hopefully in the longer run, I make my money back. And if you don't, then you take it as a learning experience and you improve the next book and also the next time you run ads, which is part of business. So now that I finished the launch, I'm going to next get my audiobooks out. So audiobooks, honestly, it is very easy money. It's also very, very passive because once you create an audiobook, right, you get some reviews on it, you basically forget about it. Like you cannot even run ads even if you want to. So you just make an audiobook, forget about it, and over time it's going to keep adding more and more to your cash flow. So as you do this with, one book, two book, three book, and you keep publishing and keep repeating this process, you're going to start making some money, right? I cannot guarantee anything, but usually you do, right? And what you don't want to do is to take your profit out too early. A lot of people take profits out after $1,000, $2,000 a month, that they're doing. And because of that, you cannot reinvest in the business because you're taking money out too soon, right? So you want to wait as long as you can to take profits out, and you want to keep reinvesting back into the business for as long as you can. I would honestly reinvest everything that I'm making until I'm making $10,000 per month consistently. That is exactly what I've done when I built my KDP business for the first time. I was working a full-time job, and then I moved to part-time once I hit $6,000 a month or something, but I still lived off that part-time job income. Okay. And from my KDP business side, I kept reinvesting everything back until I was hitting 10K per month consistently. That is when I quit my job and I went full time in my business. But if I started living off my KDP income after I'm making like 2K per month, right, that's pretty much going to burn all the cash flow that I have. And I basically have nothing to invest in my business. I'm going to have a lot of time because I'm not working a job, but I have no money to invest. And it probably would have took way longer for me to get to 10K per month, which brings me to step 6 is to reinvest your profits. In terms of what you want to reinvest in, you want to reinvest back into scaling ads. If a ad campaign is working, you just put more money in so that it keeps printing money, right? You can reinvest back into book production like ghostwriters, cover designers, illustrators. I would also go into higher content books. And essentially, you want to keep producing more books, but focus on improving over time. Like, don't just produce the same type of books, right? Try and produce better books every single time. Improve something about it, right? And also improve the production time. As an example, if it took you 3 months to make your first book, you can do it in 2 months next time. And the third one will be a month, right? And the fourth one can be 2 weeks because it's the same process over and over and over again. So you know how to do it this time, but also maybe you have someone that can help you, like a ghostwriter or, cover designers, right? Or maybe now you have illustrators instead of trying to, get illustrations from AI yourself. So you have all these improvements that you have in your business. So the big question I get all the time is how many books do you need to hit 10K per month, right? So what I recommend is you start with 5 books, as I said earlier. 5 really, really good books, right? And what's going to happen is not all those 5 books is going to make the same amount of money. Some will do really well and some will probably just flop. So obviously from there you get data. So obviously now you have data. You have data on what works, what doesn't, right? And so you want to do more of what worked, producing more books of the kind that worked well and do less of the ones that didn't do well, right? And that is how you scale a business, and you can make thousands of dollars. I have students doing tens of thousands of dollars from just one book. It's possible, but I think expecting that for every single book is very unrealistic. So I would say anywhere around $500 per month per book is a fair target to have. It's not overly optimistic, but it's not overly pessimistic as well. So just $500 per month, right? Which means for you to hit 10K per month, you would need 20 books doing around this much. But obviously what's going to happen after you publish 20 books is some will do less than $500 per month, and a few of those will make thousands of dollars per month, and that's how you're gonna get 10K. So by doing this, your income will keep increasing, and you can go and test out new strategies later on, like creating book bundles. So this is a popular brand, but I'm just using this as an example. So this book, you can see it's 6 stories in one book. How are they doing this? Well, they simply compiled 6 books into one. So this is an example of a bundle book. You just compile, the books that you have into a compilation book, right? And you can sell it as a whole new book. And this is doing hundreds of dollars a day. So like thousands a month just from the bundle book, which is free to make essentially because you already have the files. This is a word search bundle example. It's 6 books in one, and it's doing $48 a day, so $1,500 a month. Not too bad for a book that you can pretty much create for free, right? Because you have the files. You can also translate your book. I actually want to do more translations this year because I feel like the opportunity is there. But this is an example of a English audiobook that's doing $100 a day, right? And just by translating into Spanish, this is doing another $49 a day, just from the audiobook version, right? Not even counting the ebook or the paperback. So translations has huge potential as well. So that is pretty much all you do, right? There's a lot of other strategies like building an email list, social media marketing, but honestly, you don't need those to hit 10K per month. I would try and keep things as simple as possible so that I can get to 10K per month without burning out. Like, you can try all these strategies at the same time and do so many things, and you can be all over the place, but it's just gonna be so much work and you don't need to do it, right? You're just gonna realize that the few things, the few key tasks that you do over and over, which is what we covered today, is gonna produce the biggest results. And you should honestly just focus on that. In terms of how fast you can get to 10K per month, well, it took me 10 months to get to my first 10K with my first KDP business. And this is me working 2 to 4 hours a day, every single day, while I had a full-time job. The second time I did it with my new KDP account, it also took me about 10 months, right? But this time around, I pretty much outsourced everything and I worked very, very little in this business. So the timeline really depends. But the cool thing about this business is once you get to a certain income level, it kind of maintains that for a very, very long time. Even if you stop producing new books and you work way less in it, right? I got students doing tens of thousands of dollars per month, working just a couple hours a week because they built it up to that point and then they slowed down. It's not like other business. Like if you do a service-based business, you stop working and you immediately stop getting paid because you stopped providing the service, right? But with KDP, it doesn't work like that. You did the work up front and now it's going to pay you for a very, very long time. Amazon is going to keep selling your book for a very long time, even if you stop working on it. Now, if you guys want help with implementing these strategies that we talked today, if you want more hand holding, if you want a complete Amazon KDP coaching program that's going to show you exactly what to do and help you implement these strategies, then you can apply to join my coaching program from the first link in the description. It looks like this. You can read the testimonials. You can also read what is included in the program, all the bonuses, this and that. We actually have a complete A to Z KDP course, but it's not just a course. We have one-on-one coaching. So we'll sit down and check your book cover, check your title, check your keyword, right? Make sure that it's good before you actually publish it so you don't make any mistakes, so you don't waste your time and money publishing books that has no potential, right? But if you're interested, you can click here and book a free 30-minute call with one of our coaches and see if this is a good fit for you. Just a quick disclaimer that this is a paid coaching program, right? The 30-minute call is free, but the coaching program itself is paid. So if you choose to move forward, obviously it's going to cost you some money. Okay. We don't work with those looking for a get rich quick scheme. We don't work with entitled or rude people because we do one-on-one coaching. We want to make sure that we enjoy, working with you, right? So we want to make sure your personality is good as well. And we don't work with people that we generally don't think we can help. So after having a conversation with you, if we feel like we cannot help you because our direction, what we teach and what you're trying to do is different, then obviously we're not even going to try and sell you that. So that is why we do the 30-minute call to make sure that we're on the same page. Again, if you're interested, it's the first link in the description below, as well as all the tools and resources that I recommend in this video is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment any questions you have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.